I'm Miguel Delaney and welcome to the Football Manager Files. I'm joined today by Mick McCarthy, one of the most respected managers of the game. He's been to a World Cup with Ireland and taken both Wolves and Sunderland to the Premier League from the Championship. He's currently manager of Ipswich Town. Mick, good afternoon. Mick, you became a manager quite quickly after retiring as a player. Who or what influenced that decision?
There's no one person influenced the decision, although I did have a lot of good mentors as managers, if that's what you want to call them. Norman Hunter was at Barnsley, a great defender I respected immensely. Jack Charlton with Ireland, Billy McNeil with Celtic. I'd have to say I think the biggest influence I got was from Jack Charlton, because at the time I was the captain of the Irish team in the World Cup, and we did a lot of press things together and I had a lot of chats with him, and I'd say he was the biggest influence because he was one of the later ones in my latter part of my career. He was the manager and we had a really successful team as well with Ireland. I loved working for him, actually.
Well, I think you referred to you once as his on-pitch manager. Did he, using those words?
I don't know. If he did, that was very nice. I guess we do rely on players on the pitch because you can't get every message over. And generally it's your captain that was doing it. I was his captain. And you're trying to have an influence. If he's trying to get a message and he's giving it to me, I've got to pass it on.
Now, you've been in the job for almost a quarter of a century. There aren't too many that last that long. I mean, in terms of even how much you enjoy it, what is it that still appeals so much?
Yes, I do enjoy it. I love all aspects of the job, actually, and I guess the sexy aspect of the job is Saturday afternoon at 3 o'clock or whenever we play now, because we play at all sorts of different times. That's the best part, and all the preparation. That's the hard work behind it. So I still love that. But I love coming into work. I love coming into training. I love every bit of the training ground, the crack that goes on with the players, between the staff, between everybody at the club. It's there's a great buzz about the place, and better still when you're doing well, of course, which at the moment we're doing okay. Is
it almost a vocation in that sense? I mean, you do hear people like yourself talk about. I mean, you breathe the game. You're steeped in it.
It's a vocation. I do like coming in. I like getting players and making them better. I like getting the teams and making them better. I mean, generally when you get a job, very rare. Some of the top managers might go into a club where it's been stable and secure and been doing well, and the manager just leaves for a reason, another one takes over. Very often there's something wrong. So I guess it's trying to mend it, trying to get them to be better players, better individually and collectively, and every bit of that appeals to me.
Well, so you've not just stayed in the job for a while now, but also within each individual job you've had, you've managed, especially going against the trends of modern managers who sometimes it's only a year, you've stayed in each one for I think a minimum of 147 games, had long periods in each. How have you managed that?
I must have had a bit of luck along the way, that's for certain. Well, it's nice if I've gone away and I've improved every job. But I said generally you get a job when there's something wrong anyway, or it's on the way and it's on the turn and it's not going quite right. So to come in and try and change that's obviously a first port of call to try and improve it. Longevity in the game, making more good decisions than bad, and it's not about. Everybody else thinks they're good decisions. It's good decisions for the team and for myself and for the club, and winning more games than you lose, and that's got to be important. And I think at every club I've managed to do that. At every job I've won more games than I've lost, which is a really good starting point. But yeah, staying in the game, and you've got to have a bit of luck. There's no doubt. If I look throughout my career, there might be a spell in it when somebody's just kept faith in me because they think I'm doing a good job, or the club seems to be in a good place, or I've got a result when I desperately needed one and it's turned it around. But I think all the managers could say that. I look back at one of the famous ones with Sir Alex at Manchester United and Crystal Palace, Howard Kendall, I think it was, at Everton when they played Oxford, and it turns on a result It's what you do after that result, though, is building on it, I guess.
So it's a mix, basically, of that kind of moments of luck that people kind of overlook, then with actually knowing how to use them and take advantage of momentum almost.
Yeah, I don't know who said it, I can't remember, was it Gary Player? The harder you work, the luckier you get. There's a bit of that goes on as well, because it's all right saying somebody's lucky. You're not lucky all the time. You're not lucky for 147 games in every club or job that you do. There's a lot of hard work goes in behind it, and a lot of people doing it as well. Have a lot of support. It's not just me. At every club you get huge support from the people who are watching, to the people who are working with you, and to the players who are playing for you. But if there's any luck going, I prefer the good stuff, believe me, so I'll take that.
Well, since you first started at Millwall, how much has the game changed? I mean, do you find yourself using things now that were barely considered then, even kind of stuff like diet, the science involved, kind of the analytical side?
Yes, of course. Yes, the game has changed. I've been discussing that today. FA Cup ties and changing teams, and saying players do need a break and do get tired. I didn't hear that too much when I was playing, or early on in my management career. But the game has changed, and certainly the rules not being allowed to pass it back to the keeper has made the game so much quicker. When I played, I could stand on the 18-yard box and have it and give it back to the keeper, run up the pitch and get it back and give it to the keeper. I could delay the game for a minute or two, and it was in the rules. There was nothing to stop you. There was no multi-ball system. I mean, that is incredible. You think when I played, or even early on in my management career, you kick the ball into the crowd, and if you kicked it into the home crowd and you're 1-0 up, they'd keep it for 30, 40 seconds. Not now. There's a multi-ball system. When the ball comes on, you're playing, you keep going. So I think the demands are certainly great. I think the game is played in general at a pacier game, pacier flow because of that. And yet we do have all the modern day technology, all the protein drinks, energy drinks, sports science. We have the Prozone stuff. We have the GPS systems. All dietary needs, psychological needs are taken care of, which in years gone by they weren't. So, yes, it's changed, and you have to keep up to date with that. But fundamentally, football hasn't. It's still the same game in terms of the amount of players that are on the pitch, what you have to do on the pitch. There's all sorts of different ways of doing it, but it's still about putting it in their goal and stopping it going in your goal. And however you want to do it, put the meat on the bones with that, there's loads of ways of doing it.
Do you find there's something now actually that you use or that you take for granted to become a central part of your management that wasn't there 25 years ago?
Oh, the match analysis system, for sure. To get a game that had been covered and try and show one of our players something good, bad or indifferent to help him, to analyse his game and to make him better, was just virtually non-existent. You had a VHS, you have to rewind it or fast forward it to where it was. It just took hours to show anybody anything. And now it's instant. We've got that half time. And likewise, we can analyse the opposition through watching all their games, which makes it a lot easier for us to analyse the opposition. You'd think it would make it a bit more stalemate, wouldn't you? But it doesn't. I mean, the Championship is bonkers exciting. The games they're very, very good.
As one of the fundamentals as well is that a lot of managers will ultimately come down to who they buy and sell, decisions there. When you're buying a player, what does it come down to? Is it ability more, the mental side more, or a combination?
I'm trying to remember when I last bought a player, Miguel. Sorry, we don't buy many. When I'm looking for one on a Bosman or a free transfer, we've outlaid 500 grand, I think, in terms of maybe a bit more. But the most expensive one that we bought here, so yes, I've done it at other clubs, I'm teasing you, but it's not just about the ability, it's about whether it fits into how I play and what I expect from people. And let me tell you, I've got it right and I've got it wrong throughout my time, which has been, as you said, almost a quarter of a century. And at the moment we're doing it on a shoestring, and player I would cite, Tyrone Mings, I watched him for 5 minutes walking onto the game, and instantly I knew he would do for me.
Yeah.
Just the way he played the game, his just his tenacity, his aggression, the way he managed the game. Just walking across, I saw him do about 3 things, and I thought, I'll sign him, and we did, and it turned out to be a great signing. And of course, I've got it wrong otherwise. I've looked at players and thought it'd be great for us, and he hasn't. But the analysis part of it, and putting stats into these machines, these computers, you can analyse players. You can look for anything and to fit your needs. You want somebody to put 20 crosses a game in, you'll probably find one. If you want a midfield player that gets up and down the pitch, you'll find one. Then it comes down to money, of course. But in answer to your question, then it comes down to, does it fit up here with him? Does he want to come and play for me? Does he want to play in the way I play? Will he do all the things I expect of him and demand of him? And of course, if he doesn't, it doesn't matter how skillful or good a player is, you might as well not have him here.
Well, I mean, when it comes to that, and when you've improved things at a team, one of the things you've been most given credit for is kind of the ethic you create, the spirit in the team. Is that part of it, bringing in the right characters in that sense, or how else do you foster that right attitude?
Well,
or that collective bond?
Of course, the initial part is watching the players that we're watching players and identifying them that I think will fit into what I'm going to ask them. And Dave Bowman, my director of football, he'll say to players, he'll say to people, they'll say to him, he's a Mick McCarthy player. All right, so whatever that is, we can all decide on what people think about that. But other ones say, no, a gaffer will not have that. And if that's, what's the point of even going looking at him and scouting him? And I know what they mean by that, and of course other people in the game know what they mean by that. And if he's not one for us, then we'll start watching him. It's a big part of it, though. When you get them in the building, and I tell them, everybody I sign, if you're not going to work hard, if you're not going to run around, if you're not going to roll your sleeves up, if you're going to get milky and soft, then you might as well let's just stop now and leave the building. But if you're prepared to graft and be a part of a team, then welcome, come and join us.
Is there any other way you kind of try and foster a spirit, though, like that you yourself try kind of little techniques with the squad, or does it have to be natural?
Well, I think it's got to be natural. I'm not into sound bites and.
But even stuff like, say, some of the famous stuff from Leeds United in the late 60s. I mean, they're famous kind of the bowls games and this kind of thing.
Oh, we've done all of that. We've been, we've done paintballing. We've gone off and played golf and all those. They're okay. That doesn't foster. That might do it when you've been having a tough time and it's a bit like, right, let the reins off. We'll go and have a drink. We'll have a game of golf. We'll do. That's something different, I think. Everybody that walks in the building in here, I will shake their hand every morning, and they will come and shake mine and TC's, and they have to look me in the eye every morning, whether they're playing or not playing, whether they feel good, bad or indifferent, and I think they know I care about them as well. I'll be asking about them, about their families, about how they are. And too often at football clubs, people come and sit in the dressing room. You never see the manager or coach until you walk out onto the pitch. And then all of a sudden you've got to get them all going and running around, and it doesn't work like that. I think I try to treat people as I like to be treated, and that's, I guess, with respect. If I walk into the building and say hello, I'd expect you to say hello to me and not ignore me. And if I want to go and shake your hand, I'd expect you to shake my hand and have a bit of communication and try and create an environment in the building that people like to come into work. Motivation is not, right, we get on the pitch and we all start shouting and working and we get them all running. It don't work like that, and even less on a Saturday. I think it's got to be fostered every day, that motivation, that they enjoy coming here.
Well, on the purely football side of how it all fits together, when you first take over a team, is it a case of you've got an idea that you want to apply, or do you have to first see what you've got and fit something around the players?
Well, yes, there's a bit of that. We've all got our ideas that what I'd want to do, and all the other managers would have their ideas what they want to do. But if you haven't got the players, and there's always the transfer windows, the loan system to try and get the player. And come on, let's see, we all do it. You go into a squad, and you'll have a look at it and then you start tinkering with it because you might need certain elements to change. But fundamentally for me, when you go into a club, everybody's supporting you. They all want you to do well. And the biggest thing for me is to foster and nurture that support, that they still want you to do well when you've been in the building for 6 weeks. They're with you. You know, you're not isolating people and bombing people out. You get them all together. You harness that support and desire to win that they've got for you when you walk in the building, and make sure it stays there. Keep hold of it. Don't lose it.
Well, I mean, on that subject, since you've been in the game, one of the massive changes has been in TV money and the explosion of wages, and there's often the debate that has affected motivation. From the inside, have you seen that, or are footballers still footballers?
I remember playing and managers saying, stood up in the dress, you've all got too much money now, you're driving BMWs and you've all got fancy clothes and fancy watches. And I loathed and detested that quote, because we all want to progress. We all want to get more money. I don't know anybody in this building that want to get any more money or better terms and conditions. And the best players, you know, and you cite them, you know, the Thierry Henrys, the Steven Gerrards, do you think they earned money? Of course they did. They were all motivated. They were the best players. Ronaldo and Messi now, they're all earning great money. They still seem to be playing. So I think there's a little bit too much emphasis on the fact that it's money that changes them. No, personalities are personalities. And I think it's our jobs to get, my job, to get the best out of them when they're earning 10 grand a year or 10 million a year. It's still the same job. And if I've got one earning 10 million a year, I'd expect him to look after himself better and to be a better professional than one earning 10. And reality is it should be easier. The only difference is the more money they earn, they get opinions.
Well, I suppose,
yeah. You know, they're sometimes their opinions are completely different to what we would have as managers.
Well, I suppose one side of that argument as well is that maybe it comes a little too fast to younger players now, and that's possibly affected things. Do you buy into that, though?
Yes. Oh, without a doubt. I'm talking about the best in the world, but I've just been mentioning that continue to do it. But they've obviously been doing it at a lower level and got better and better and better and got to the higher echelons of the game. Oh, it does ruin it, no doubt. And I think youngsters stepping up and fine, I'm cool with them having the watches, the cars, the lifestyle, providing they're doing it on the training ground, day in, day out, and they are good professionals, and they continue to work hard. Because no matter what you're earning at 18, it's going to be eclipsed by it if you end up being a top international for your country, playing for one of the top teams at Man City, Arsenal, Liverpool, Man United, all of those. You're going to have a wonderful career, as well as earning all the money. You'll probably have caps for your country, medals and win trophies, which is what we all want to do.
Well, you got into international management very early in your managerial career, whereas say someone like Jack, there'd been that detachment. Did you find, or how did you feel that affected your job, where you're closer in age, perhaps taking over former teammates? Or
It's bonkers really taking over the national team at 36 I was. Unusual. I think circumstances dictated it, maybe because of Jack, and Jack saying I was his manager on the pitch, and you know I was the captain of most teams I played for, and quite clearly somebody saw me as a leader of Millwall because they gave me a job at 32, and we were doing okay, we were doing well enough, and although we were at the top of it was Division 2 at the time, we were in the top 6 at one stage, we were top 3 at one stage. They saw me as a replacement for Jack, which is, wow, I mean, to think that was maybe not a replacement, somebody to follow him, not a replacement, that's stretching it a bit. But I mean, talk about a compliment to anybody to go back and manage a team that I'd played for, and a national team. So I guess it's too young, but listen, I look back on it only with fondness, and we had a lot of success. We were in the playoffs three times on the bounce when you had to finish in the top 2 to get in the playoffs. You know, we lost to Belgium, we lost to Turkey, and of course eventually we beat Iran and qualified for the World Cup. So I wouldn't change it, and I loved the job when I was doing it.
So you wouldn't have taken it later in retrospect, would you?
No, not at all. And who's to say I was going to get it? I might have stayed at Millwall, and that year I left, Millwall got relegated. Maybe we would have finished in the bottom half. I would never have been offered the Ireland job. I don't regret anything I've done in my career, because looking back at it retrospectively, it might not have happened. And taking the Ireland job when I did was brilliant. Loved every minute of it. Well,
in that sense, actually, have you ever come across situations in the job where you've been faced with a particular challenge, and then you've recalled something you did wrong at a previous point, and been able to kind of second guess yourself almost? Or
oh yeah, and age has got to have some advantages. Sat here, I can't think of any. Experience, yes, it makes you. Does it make you wiser? Does it make you more cynical? I think it does a bit of both. But it certainly makes you think more about what you do. As a young manager, I'd be guilty of that. I'd have been looking to solve every problem and every fight and win them all. As a more senior manager, shall I say, that I'm a bit more thoughtful than that, and I'll probably wade into the fight that I want to win, and I'll make sure that things go right in the others, but without having to fight a battle. And that's exactly what you're asking. Do I look back retrospectively and think, could I have done something different? Yes. But in terms of my career, I've got no regrets on anything I've done, nothing whatsoever. I wouldn't go back and change it, because it's my life.
Well, I mean, I suppose even in the Irish situation, there's a few heartbreaks initially with late goals conceded, but then by the time it came to the 2002 World Cup, there were teams scoring them. I mean, how do you foster something like that? Because I suppose it's seen as such a specific managerial skill to have that team that goes right to the end.
I honestly believe that it's that they trust me, they respect me, because I give it to them. It doesn't just come from players. You've got to give it to the players, and you get it back. I think they have to trust what you're trying to do. They have to trust your knowledge and enjoy playing in that team. I'm not saying enjoying playing for me, but enjoy playing and working in that environment. And certainly we had it with Ireland. That was the team spirit there was just fantastic, and that obviously was shown in the World Cup, and certainly scoring that late equaliser against Germany in 2002.
And very lastly, what advice would you give to any young managers coming in now?
One, get a good assistant who doesn't want your job. Somebody that is going to support you, but he's also going to say no to you, not just keep saying yes just because you're the boss. I think that's vital. I had Ian Taff, as he's affectionately known, and I said to this day, but for him, I wouldn't be sat here 25 years on. There are some mentors, real mentors. Norman Rimington, who was 93, kitman, coach, groundsman at Barnsley, who, without him, my 4 years I wouldn't have been here. So listen to people. Don't think you can rule the world, because you can't. There's lots of us tried to do it, and lots of us failed in our younger years. And the biggest piece I would say is, I'd said earlier on, when you get a job in a football club, the goodwill, the good feeling, the support that you have that first day you walk in the club is immense. Harness it, keep it, make the most of it, and just, take that with you, because people want you to do well. Because the club wants to be a success. And I'm telling you, it's all with it. And it's up to us to keep it, and there's only us can lose it. There's only us who get shut of that support.
That's excellent, Mick. Thanks. Pleasure to talk to you.
Pleasure.
Thank you. If you've enjoyed that, check out the links on the screen now for more interviews. Thanks for watching.